Okay, this is a take two video because I had the camera vertical when I did the first video. Today I am photographing my artwork and I'm going to give you some inside tips, or tips at least based on the fact that I've been doing this for at least 10-15 years, so professionally for 10 years. So so I might have some insight that you may not have thought of, or just plain common sense that gets overlooked, as it often does. So I'm using natural light. You will not beat natural light for conditions to bring out the colours in your pictures, etc. And now my work's slightly reflective, so when I photograph it, I take it slightly offside, as you can see. This sort of irons out the reflections so that you can get a flat image for digitization. And the reason I make my work like that is because I like my paintings to give you something that you can't get in a digital format. I think that's a good enough reason to create spaces of reflection and spaces that are matte. Yeah, I think it'd be very difficult to replicate that in a digital way. That's just a side note. You can see up there, that one's very reflective. You can see your face in it. So the ideal conditions for daylight are like that: overcast, dull, which is what you want. Luckily, we get plenty of that weather in the UK. So these are the pictures I've already done. And obviously I've got access to the skylight. So if you don't have that, I would suggest going outside using an umbrella to diffuse glare from the sun. If it's a bright day, you can just put the umbrella over the top and photograph in shadow. I mean, there's a million ways to do it. You don't have to photograph in direct sunlight, but that's a good tip. Always use direct sunlight if you can. That's the camera I'm photographing with today. So that's the 5D Mark III, which is a really good camera. And even though it's a bit old, but it does the trick. And I'm operating on 100 shutter speed, because any less than that you might get camera shake. It's unlikely. You can go to 80, but I just prefer to be on the safe side to go to 100. I take about 3 pictures of each image, 3 or 4, just to make sure you've got a safety shot in there. My sweet spot for this camera and this lens is about 7.1. Now you're going to have to find your own sweet spot on your own camera for aperture, because all lenses and cameras are slightly different. But for me, that gives me the best focus and resolution. 800 ISO. Well, I found it to anyway. Yeah, I could be wrong, but it seems to work for me. 800 ISO, slightly high, but owing to the weather conditions, to the light conditions. But 800 is about as high as I'd go, because obviously any higher than that and you're going to get some grain. On this camera, you can go to about 800 ISO without too many problems. Depending on the light conditions, it tends to jump. It jumps from 400 virtual ISO to 800, so somewhere between there. Now, that was the important thing that I left off the first thing. You want to photograph slightly underexposed, 1 or 2 stops down, and then punch it back out in Photoshop, and that is how you will get a beautiful image with something like that, especially if it's abstract. You can really punch out those colours. Well, I'm sure there'll be plenty of people on the comments telling me I'm wrong. These are ones I've previously done. So I'm working in a filing system. So basically this is number. I'm not numbering them actually. I'm doing them in letters. So that's A, that's B, because I've not named any of these pictures yet. They're all part of a series. And the series, and that one is C. And the series is based loosely around the inner workings of unconsciousness and energy patterns, nebulous connection between thoughts and the immaterial universe, and realized subconsciously in a fiery pattern of bright and exotic colours. That's generally where I'm at. So I hope this has been informative, and I've deliberately not showed my face on this video because YouTube will pick my ugly mug instead of showing you the pictures. So I hope that's been useful.